Welcome to RickRackRuby. I'm Laura Clubo. Today we'll make this 70s holly print angel ornament. The inspiration for this project was a package of vintage holiday paper coasters, which I use for the wings. You can make this, so let's get started. When I saw these vintage holiday coasters for sale, of course I had to have them. These are, it says Contempo 3 3/4 inches. They're kind of a thick paper. I guess they would have to be absorbent, and I'm going to use them for the wings on an angel. So I'm going to fold it in half, trying to match up those scallops. And then I'll zigzag to secure it right in that red line, that little red border. I'm going to try to center my zigzags right there. I've already made my face. It's a 14mm round bead, and I have a tutorial. If you haven't watched it yet and you'd like to try this project, there's a Focus on Faces video that I made just for you. I have 2 lengths of red tulle, 6-inch wide tulle. Each length is about 15 inches long, and about 1/2 yard of twine. This is extra. I don't need all of this, but I always like to have extra. So I'm going to tie that off in the center 2 times. And then I'll thread the ends through the bead from the bottom to the top. And slide it down over the tulle. I like the tulle to fill the hole in the bead like that. Then I'll back it up and add a little bit of glue right here. And then slide it on, trying to keep that glue at the back. Then I'll tie off the hanging loop at a reasonable length. That looks about right. And we're ready to sew the dress. I dug into my stash of vintage fabrics and chose this holly print, which is just iconic 70s Christmas calico. And this is 3.5 inches tall. This is 3 inches wide, and these are 4 inches wide. So 4, 3, 4, and everything's 3.5 inches tall. I'm going to seam this, and I'll be right back. Now I'll press the seam allowances toward the darker fabric, and I'll fold up one end 1/4 inch to hem. I've seamed the little dress and pressed toward the darker fabric and pressed up a little 1/4 inch hem. And now I'm going to apply this trim. This is from Walmart, and I think I'll put it on this way with the red at the bottom. Be right back. I used about 1 foot of trim, and now I'll fold these sides together and stitch it up. Now I'll turn it right side out and gather up the top edge starting at the back. I like to use a thimble. I'm going to secure my needle by folding back this little seam allowance and starting right there. Then I'm just going to gather by hand all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect. I got so spoiled by using pre-cuts that were beautifully pinked on the edges, or even die-cut pieces of fabric where everything was so perfect. And I was kind of knocking myself out trying to get all these edges perfect, and then I realized it just doesn't even matter. So slide the dress over the angel head. Pull it tight, centering that red section, or whatever you like for the center section. Wrap a couple of times and secure your thread. Then I'll trim out that excess tulle. I always make everything way too long. I like to have a generous allowance because I make a lot of mistakes. This lace is for the collar. It's about 15 inches and it's about 3/8 or 1/2 of an inch wide. I'm going to gather that up starting at one end. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'll start by looping through like that, and then just gathering it up from one end to the other. There's my little lace collar. So I'll place it around the angel's neck and secure it in the back. I'm gonna have a look and distribute all that fullness evenly around. That looks pretty good. And then I'll secure the thread in the back. Now we'll put a little bow on her neck. Straighten her out, make sure everything looks good, ready to go, good. And then I'm just gonna stitch, one stitch with the baker's twine. Make sure your needle is big enough to accommodate the baker's twine. That makes life much easier. And then I'll tie a bow. Just like tying a shoe. And then I'll trim off the ends, even with the hem, and tie an overhand knot in each end of the twine. To make sure that the bow stays put, I'm going to glue a little flower motif. You can use anything you like. A little applique, sew a button. Now let's do the hair. Since she's so small, I'm going to use a rather fine yarn. I believe I have a yarn technique video also, so I will link to it. We're going to do 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cut off a generous length of tail and then wrap around all the way around and tie it off in the center. Now I'll set that aside. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrap around a complete revolution around the center and then tie that off. I'll glue this bundle in the back first. Squeezing on some hot glue onto the back of her head, a generous amount of glue. And then I'll put the center of the hair bundle right behind the hanging loop. And then I'll press it into the glue. Then the second bundle will go in front of the hanging loop. This one I'll be a little bit more careful with. There's a little bit of glue right there in front of the hanging loop where I will press the center of the bundle, and then I will twist the bundle back like this on each side. Put some glue right there on the side of the face, and then twist and press. And then also the same thing for the other side. Twist and press. That looks good. Now for the halo, I have 1.5 inches of 20 gauge wire. I'm going to shape it around my thimble like that, so it makes a little U. I'm bending the ends in a little bit, so it's kind of like this. I'll put a drop of glue on each end of the wire and then press that into her hair, more toward the back. That looks good. And now for the part I just cannot wait to see is gluing on this wing piece. I'm going to put some glue right here at the top center. This is also the front of the wing piece. And I'll press the back of the head. Oh, that turned out so cute. I love it. I'll show you a couple of other variations. Here's one, a little bit different fabric. Here I put the white in the center. These are fun and easy. Thank you for watching my video. If you're enjoying my tutorials, please like, share, and subscribe.